All right, thank you for staying with us on the program. We're still taking a look at the economic growth of Nigeria, looking how whether it is performing or underperforming. And I still have my guest, who is a brand and a research analyst, joining me on the show, Eric Adodo.
There was a research we conducted, and we conducted this research for 2 consecutive years, right? Um, Last year, what are consumers saying? 75% of Nigerian consumers are saying they are in a worse off position than they were
Okay.
before. Now, let me put this into context.
Yeah.
Globally, globally, the same questions were asked because there are conversations around the economic impacts being a global issue, but
Yeah.
globally, we see only 34% of consumers saying this. So you can see the disparity. Nigeria is in a far worse situation.
Okay.
And we are coming from a previous year when only 31% of people felt like they were in a worse off position. So it shows the kind of pressures that the consumer is really under. Now, if we go, you were showing that slide where we saw the 81%, the 64%, and 60%. Basically, that slide just tells us where believe that their challenges are really coming from.
Okay.
So 81%. So we've seen the numbers saying that 75% feel they're in a worse off position. Of that 70 of that percentage of people who feel they're in a worse off position, right? The 75%, 81% attribute this to the rising cost of living.
Okay.
So it shows that we are actually feeling it hot in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
64% attribute it to increased fuel prices, while 60% attribute it to the economy slowing down. Yes,
Okay.
those are the numbers on
Okay.
the screen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
now,
looking at how households are coping with this whole analysis now, you've seen on the slide, you are saying Nigerians are feeling it really the more. Would you really say it is the policies that has been put in place by the government which are not too good enough that are the cause of these pains the people are feeling in terms of what they are able to buy and consume?
yeah. So in all honesty, I'm not a speak from a consumer perspective as well,
Yeah.
right? The policies, right, I believe they have been, it's important. They've
Okay.
been quite, the impact of those policies are quite hard on we the consumers.
Yeah.
However, I think the point at which Nigeria as an economy was, some of those policies, it was important for the government to, put their foot on the ground and, you know, um, have those policies, passed, So now, talking about the impact on us, the consumers, as at last year, we saw that the rising cost of living, your salary to the bank no longer has the same value it used to have previously. Those are some of the impacts that's brought to us. Now, coming into 2025, we've started seeing some improvements, and I'm just hoping that these improvements are sustained. Fuel costs are beginning to come down. I mean, from a 1,200 average price, we're seeing fuel PMS costs less than 1,000 naira.
But there might be possibilities of it rising again because the cost of Brent at the global market, that's OPEC, has risen.
Yeah.
So you never can tell.
Yes, so we never can tell, but just judging by the current trajectory.
Okay, working with what we have presently.
Yes, working with what we have. Things are looking slightly positive. So we just keep monitoring these indexes and to see how things improve over time. Now, having the consumer in mind, what should a manufacturer be thinking about? There's a solution to all of this. I mean, you don't need to pack your bags and leave Nigeria. No, Nigeria is.
Well, someone who gets the opportunity to pack bag can actually pack and go.
No, you actually don't need, as a manufacturer. Now, talking about the manufacturer.
Okay, the manufacturing.
Yes, you don't need to pack your bags and go. Nigeria is a viable.
In a country without electricity, stable electricity, without security. But go ahead.
People have to eat. People have to take their baths. People have to use the creams, roll-ons, and all of that. People
Yeah.
have to use toothpaste. These are the
Absolutely.
various segments that make up the
Yeah, they are
overall.
basic things, necessities you need at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you as a manufacturer, you have a product which your consumers, your target market
Yeah.
can no longer afford, what should you do? The answer is innovation.
Okay.
That's the answer. You
Okay.
need to innovate.
Yeah.
And I have a slide which shows the positive impact on innovation on
Yeah, yeah, that's the
even
fourth slide I have.
manufacturing.
We'll run
Yes,
through that. We'll run through the fourth slide.
yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
The impact of innovation on
Yeah.
businesses that innovate, we've actually conducted a research. Businesses that innovate are likely to go almost 2 times more than businesses that don't innovate.
Okay.
And what do I mean by innovation? You have a brand, and this brand, it could be in terms of the size of that pack, it could be in terms of what exactly are the items used to produce it. It could be in terms of the branding itself. Maybe you're using some expensive branding, you can reduce the cost of that. And what manufacturers do, smart manufacturers, what they do is that they do product testing before they launch any new, like I'm sure you would have seen, for example, I believe Guinness, yes,
Yeah.
they've changed the part of one of their new
Yeah, their
brands.
products, their brand.
Yes, they've
Yeah,
changed
I have.
they just changed the branding.
Yeah.
And something as simple as that,
Okay.
even though it might have, because for them, they need to find how they reduce their cost of production.
That's true.
And thinking about innovation, you need to
Yeah.
think about, you sell a product for 2,000 naira for a pack, and you need to figure out how to sell that for 1.6. Maybe that's what your target market can afford. So
Okay.
you need to really, it's a lot of science. I
Yeah.
can't go into all the details in 2-3 minutes. It's a lot of science, but that's the key. You need to work with your consumers in mind. Nigeria has a population, a growing population of over 200 million, projected to grow to over 400 million. You can't neglect the Nigerian population, no matter its challenges with security, with power, energy. You can't neglect the Nigerian population. It's a very important market. The One of the largest black nations in the world. So for manufacturers all over the world, and again for local brands, for local manufacturers, it's an opportunity. This big so-called big guys, the multinationals, are leaving. It leaves opportunities, it leaves gaps, right? That can be filled by local manufacturers. Maybe all we need now is just to implore the government to start supporting small businesses, local manufacturers that really want to dive into the spaces. Because at the end of the day, the consumers still need these products for their day-to-day needs.
Okay.
It's not something they can do without. So with that in mind, so opportunities for local manufacturers and even for international big brands,
Yeah.
they need to start thinking of innovating to fit and suit the Nigerian, and not just today's Nigerian consumer, who is highly pressured by the economy.
Okay. Talking about the local manufacturers trying to want to pave way for themselves in the economy for them to attain economic growth, would you really say with the whole cost of living now, inflation rate, FX, foreign market exchange, do you think the local or the small brands, like you said, will be able to compete with some of those big guys who, like you said, they should not pack their load and go and stay? Can they really compete in a situation like this, using this fourth slide as a case study to it?
No. In the short term, no. But in the long term, I'm going to be betting on some local names right now, but I'll be betting on some local giants.
Okay.
I already see some. I consult for some of these local brands, and I see the kind of moves they're doing. Right, a brand which sells its products for 1,000 naira, a local guy comes in and is selling that same brand for 400 naira.
But Nigerians will
The
say
same,
it's counterfeit.
so
The same, the
counterfeits
same, the
basically.
same people will tell you the guy selling for 400 is his own is not original.
So counterfeit is a different conversation.
Okay.
So if sticking to, let's say, Guinness or a bottle of Heineken, I now go and, as a local guy, I'm now producing the same Heineken,
Yeah.
but different liquid in it. Then that's counterfeit. That's a different conversation. And
Okay.
NAFDAC really needs to clamp that down because it's a lot of problems. That's a different conversation.
Okay.
Now, the big conversation is how can you, a local manufacturer, when you see the opportunity, you talked about some companies that have left, the likes of P&G and Co. What are
Yeah,
those
that have left
categories?
already.
Yes, what are those categories? GSK. What
GSK.
are those
Yeah.
categories that they use? For GSK, what are those drugs that they used to that they made available to the market?
Yeah.
What can local pharmaceuticals do in this regard? Can they make alternatives which would give the same function? So at the end of the day, Nigerians are no longer loyal to brands. Nigerians are loyal to their pockets, right? Nigerians are loyal to their
What
pockets.
you can actually afford it before you be loyal to,
Yes,
not the brand.
exactly. When I
Okay.
go into a store, there was a time when I would say that, look, if I'm not buying a Kellogg cereal for my child,
You're not going to
I'm not
buy
going
any
to
other
buy
thing.
anyone.
Okay.
But when I go into the store now and I'm looking at where my eyes are going to
It's the
is the
one that is a
price of
bit
all
cheaper.
the exactly.
Yeah.
What can I afford? So
Okay.
consumers are no longer brand loyal. They're no longer brand loyalty is a thing of history.
Okay.
So even those who engage in alcohol, for instance, with the people are known with certain brands. These days, you're saying that with the millennials and the Gen Zs coming in,
Yeah.
Gen Zs, we've conducted researches and we've seen that there is nothing like brand loyalty with the Gen Zs, a
Okay.
completely different subset of people.
Yeah.
So brand loyalty is slowly, phasing away.
Okay.
So this gives room. Functionality is key.
Yeah.
What is your product supposed to achieve? What is
Okay.
this product supposed to do for for your consumer, your
The
target
end
audience?
product of your product, basically.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That functionality is clean,
Okay.
and it's key.
Yeah.
Not trying to replicate what the multinationals are doing. No,
Okay.
that's counterfeit.
All
So if
right.
you can do that, give the same function and sell cheaper.
Okay.
I mean, this is one of the keys to winning.
Okay, so as we begin to wrap up, we have less than 4 to 5 minutes. Let's now look at how this, whether small brand or even the bigger brands that are still here, will remain, because the truth is, take it or leave it, the economy is tight for everybody. Everybody have a way they are feeling it. Like you said, the pocket is the major thing people look at these days before they go for a brand, or you're buying something for a so-called global brand. You have to look at what you can afford and how you can afford it. So how should consumers basically, in order to be able to meet their basic needs at home, because these are necessities. Economists say the 3 basic needs of man is food, shelter, and clothing. So, and you need the food at home, you need the brand, whether local or foreign brand or bigger brand. How can the average Nigerians be able to fit in order for them to, to be able to live just that, in quotes, the kind of comfortable life they want to live?
And the answer is straight.
Okay.
Be loyal to your pocket.
Okay.
Buy
Not
local.
to the brand.
Let's start encouraging the local brands, right?
Okay.
Let's start encouraging the local brands.
All right.
You don't need to start talking about clothing, for instance. You
Yeah.
don't need to start buying the foreign designers. We have a lot of, that industry has become so big in Nigeria.
That's
We
true.
have a lot of local guys doing well, and
Yeah.
you can. I mean, a shirt a Nike shirt you might be buying for 150,000 naira when you convert it to naira when you're importing.
You know how
can get
much it
here for
is.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can get it here. Maybe a local guy can produce something, a shirt still similar, and it gives you the same function, covering your
That's true.
chest up. That's
Yeah.
that's the function, right? It's a simple example. The key is functionality.
Okay.
What's your product? What function? What is that need your product is meeting? So from the consumer standpoint, even in your home, you can't afford to buy the big brands. You go for the smaller brands. And in that sense, and if you go into your supermarkets these days, you would have noticed some local brands are beginning to enter different categories. The alcoholic segment, we see a lot of local guys producing whiskeys and all of that. And this is branded local,
Yeah.
in the East, in Lagos, we see a lot of manufacturers, local manufacturers beginning, and they're actually growing within that space, in several categories. So for us, not just you, us, we are all consumers, because we don't
Yeah. Everybody
manufacture
is a consumer. Whether you are a
we
producer, a
don't manufacture this
manufacturer, you
product.
are also
So
a consumer.
a consumer. So
Yeah.
for you as a consumer, right? Personally, I'll bring it home because
Okay.
I am also a salary earner.
Yeah.
I used to buy a certain brand, right, before. And there was a time I went to the supermarkets to buy that same brand. I've been loyal to this brand for over 10 years. You know, I wanted to buy this brand. And when I saw the price for the pack, I screamed.
You were pushed.
And now I am loyal to a new brand. And I've
Yeah.
realized that that brand actually is not bad after all.
Okay.
It's doing more or less the same thing. So
Okay.
I mean, so from a consumer start point, let's
Yeah.
start looking towards even supporting the local brands, tested and trusted.
Okay.
Let's not delve into patronizing fake brands, the
Okay.
counterfeit products. No, but let's buy more local, so that, I mean, it's what you can afford, right? And let's work on that. With that, we can still, just because we are in a whirlwind currently that
Okay.
is going to pass. So
Okay.
we just need to sort of like hold our grounds
Yeah.
so that the wind doesn't carry us and blow us away. And
Okay.
this is one of the
So,
ways we can manage yourself. Yeah.
all right, let's wrap up with this. As a brand and a research analyst that you are, what do you think
Yeah.
is the outlook for 2025 and beyond in
Yeah,
terms of the
2025.
economy, the growth prospect,
Yes.
performance,
Yes.
and all that?
Again, I'll stay positive.
Okay.
Yeah. With all the numbers I'm seeing,
Yeah.
from World Bank, the targets being set from the Apex Bank
Okay.
in Nigeria, talking about the central bank.
Okay.
I'll stay positive. And with what I'm seeing, in and around what has been done so far,
Yeah.
talking about PMS costs coming down, hopefully that is sustained, as you said, hopefully
Okay.
that's sustained.
Okay.
You know, it begins, and energy improving,
Yeah.
right? Energy has been a pain point for us for, since I was born, I think. So, I
It's
mean,
been a problem that has been there for a very
yeah,
long time.
yeah, this needs to improve.
Yeah.
If we can sort out that bit in Nigeria, I'm sure it will reduce the cost. It will even encourage smaller businesses, because
Businesses to
what
grow.
drives economies?
Yeah, that's
What
true.
drives economies are small, medium enterprises,
That's true.
SMEs.
Yeah.
These are the guys that drive the economy. They will employ people.
True.
So if the government can even make it easier for this, SMEs, small businesses, to access loans and all those things, it's going to slowly keep the economy at an upward trajectory.
Okay.
Again, 2025, I think things are going to get a lot better. 2026, hopefully, well, we can only keep our fingers crossed.
You are bringing
But
a church
by the
kind
end
of projection into it now. Hopefully, by God's
no,
grace.
no, no, no. I won't put the church projection. I like talking
Okay.
about facts and figures.
All right.
With what I see.
Because
right?
economics does not deal with paper. It's a reality. As it's working, you're
Yes.
seeing it. Economics does not
Yes,
hear prayer
yes.
points. The way it's working, you're seeing it.
Yes. So I come from that. So let's talk facts and figures. And
Okay.
what we see recovery happening in 2025.
Okay.
I hope we're right. The latest inflation numbers may have, pushed me back a little
It's
bit.
scary.
But
That's the English.
Yeah, it is. It is
Scary.
scary. It is
Yeah.
scary. So especially for food, the food
Yeah.
inflation.
Absolutely.
Especially. So let's see how that improves in the coming months. But
Okay.
again, if you ask me from where I sit,
Yeah.
I see a positive outlook.
Okay.
It's not going to be great. It's
Definitely.
not going to be so big, but we'll see some improvement.
No problem. Thank you very much, Eric. We'll continue monitoring the situation. We'll always also have time to always talk about it. If it's dropping,
Definitely.
we'll still always talk about it. And I'm pretty sure whenever I call upon you to be a part of it, you also make time possible
very
to join
happy.
us. Thank you
I'll
very
be
much for
very
your
happy.
time, for your analysis and everything. We really want to
Thank you.
appreciate you for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much.
All right. That's the size of our package on the show this afternoon. On behalf of my great and entire team behind cameras, this guy does so much to make sure every show that comes on board is a success. We thank you for being a part of the show this afternoon. Next week, we'll be here again to look into other issues pertaining to economy, Nigeria. We just keep talking. Like I always say, it's a living conversation, never-ending discussion. That is the Nigerian state till we get it right. I'm Lawrence Asifo saying see you again. Bye for now.